Welcome to my co-host, Alex Delamain, who's President of World Media Group and Global Client Lead for The Economist. And I believe you're talking to us today from Devon. Welcome, Alex.
That's correct. Good morning.
Good morning. And today we're going to be talking to Stevan, now I'm going to pronounce your surname incorrectly, Randjelovic. Is that right?
Well done.
Okay.
Well done.
Stevan Randjelovic, who's the Director for Brand Safety and Digital Risk for EMEA at Group M, who's joining us from Belgium, Brussels?
Yes, that's correct.
Stevan's had an interesting career encompassing journalism and lobbying across the industry. Welcome, Stevan.
Thank you.
What we want to look at or talk about this morning is the broader aspects of brand safety and which elements are the most important, and try and take some of the hype out of the subject. So, Stevan, for an advertiser, could you describe the key elements of brand safety, and which of them really should be the ones that they are focusing their minds on and be most worried about?
Well, brand safety means a lot of things to many people. It has so many different caveats, and your question is absolutely the right one, because many advertisers, are focusing on different things. How we at Group M look at brand safety is basically managing three types of risks. So the legal risk, where you have the privacy or anti-piracy risk. And then you have the reputational risk, where it's mostly about the context or user experience. So here is the famous ad adjacency. And this is where the most of the perceived risk there is. So it's all about whether you as a brand are appearing next to content that transpires and inspires hate speech or disinformation or IP infringement, etc. And user experience, which is, those pop-up screens that are really annoying. And sometimes there are, and you see it, and it's really disrupting your experience online. And you see a brand, and you think, oh, well, that brand is really disrupting my experience. So, obviously, it's not good for reputation. And then finally, there is the financial risk, which is mostly about fraud. Because unfortunately, advertising industry has a big problem of fraud. There is lots of money going to criminals through our industry. So that's obviously a big loss. And then there is viewability, which is what is a percentage of the ad that is seen, and etc. So all these, for us, go under one umbrella of brand safety. What are those that advertisers should be most concerned about? I think all of them, to be honest, because all of them can cause certain losses. And I speak here about consumer trust, or God forbid, legal action if something goes badly, or just the loss of significant financial resources. So I wouldn't be really able to single out one. I know publicly we are mostly speaking about contextual brand safety, which is the reputational risk, which is where the spotlight is. But again, I wouldn't be able to single out one and say this one is the most important, because as I said, advertisers, there is not a one size fits all advertiser profile. And as such, they all look into different things. So it would really depend on the advertiser what is the most important and the most worrying element of the brand safety.
So following on from that, Stevan, what are the hygiene factors that advertisers should have in place? And are there any simple fixes? So two parts to my question there.
Number one rule in managing any risk, also in brand safety, is first understanding your risk profile. Because brand safety is really not a deterministic thing. It is not black or white. It exists or it doesn't exist. It is always how you manage it. Because too strict brand safety settings can sometimes cause certain losses also in scale, in reach. So you as an advertiser have to understand how much of scale, you're willing to put, to not to sacrifice, but to take out a bit of scale for the sake of keeping your brand in line with your risk profile online. After that, there comes due diligence. And due diligence is the mother, I would say, of brand safety, which is understanding where your ads appear, vetting your partners. So if you work with a DMP, vetting how they obtain that user consent for processing of personal data, or if you work with premium publishers, understanding what they do on their end to monetize their content, how they ensure that the supply they give to you as an advertiser is suitable, and also obviously in terms of social media. You would also vet each of the social platforms to understand what they are doing, what kind of third-party verification is available, etc. And then the next step is really operational process, which is monitor constantly your campaigns, understand where your ads appear, take out those less performing and less safe, suitable, viewable, more fraudulent domains and apps, and optimize. It is as any business process. It is at the end of the day, it comes to optimization, which is really constant monitoring again of your delivery and optimizing. But essentially, the quick fix is buying on inclusion lists and buying on pre-vetted domains, apps, and working only with partners that meet your criteria of brand safety, suitability, and etc.
And is there any kind of correlation between brand safety and effectiveness? I mean, is there a direct financial payoff to an advertiser if they get this right?
One of the things that I forgot to mention in the previous previous answer, what is the quick fix is actually investing in quality. And quality means suitable, in an appropriate advertising in appropriate environments, viewable, with low fraud and underpinned by third-party verification. And what we discovered, because we've done a couple of studies throughout Europe, also in the UK, and we wanted to see how investing in quality actually translates for brands, because quality media can be a bit more expensive. It's fair to say that, but at the end of the day, it actually does pay off. So, for example, the study that we've done in the Nordics with IES proved that more viewable ads have a significantly higher online conversion rate. So we had 3 brands: Radisson Hotel Group, Toyota, and Quick, which is the Danish kitchen brand, and all of those had more than 65% of higher online conversion than for ads that were meeting certain viewability standard than those that were not. There was also a study done in France which showed that 15% of advertising budget we were able to allocate that to quality media simply by using pre-bid segments for higher viewability, fraud, and etc. And finally, there was a study back in 2018 in the UK that showed that quality publishers have much higher engagement. Users are much more likely to engage with an ad, to hover over it. So at the end of the day, all these studies, what they show is that quality, meaning brand safe, viewable, less fraud, actually does produce better results for the campaign in terms of brand effectiveness, online conversion, and such.
Was the one in the UK, was that done jointly with Newsworks?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, that was a really interesting study. I didn't know that had been done in other markets. That's really interesting to know.
Leading on from that, Stevan, I find it interesting because obviously quality environments, as the members of the World Mead Group are, because we're a news environment, we've faced some challenges about advertisers using contextual blocking, especially around coronavirus. How can advertisers be safe without using that so vehemently?
I think one thing that we all sometimes forget is that this issue of excessive keyword blocking existed before COVID-19. What happened during the pandemic, which is unfortunately still ongoing, is that because the ad spend was significantly reduced, and many advertisers just stopped, so it kind of amplified the issue. And I think a lot of this issue stems from the fact that there is a bit of a lack of understanding how the technology for pre-bid segmentation, contextual avoidance, basically works. There are many ways. So there is a pre-bid, which means that the technology basically creates segments on which you as an advertiser can bid on, whether be it positive or those that you want to avoid being negative ones. And then you have the post-bid, after the bid has been won, blocking, which mostly relies these days on keyword blocking. What we as Group M have been doing really even since before this started, we've been advising against, we've been actually asking advertisers to reconsider their approach to news media, because news media, it is not, and I think we have to move away specifically in the context of news media. It is not an issue of whether it is brand safe or not brand safe. It is brand safe because there is nothing on news media, on premium publishers now speaking, that is not brand safe. There is really very rarely you will find depiction or extreme nudity and that kind of stuff. But what is the issue here is whether it is suitable for all brands. Is it suitable for a company that produces Easter eggs to advertise next to a page about 10,000 casualties in Italy because of coronavirus. So to answer your question, how they can do it, first of all, reconsider the notion of brand safety in news environments. And look at facts. So what we've been speaking all along is that news environments, premium news environments, are highly viewable, brand safe, low fraud, and that many of your members actually take a lot of effort on their own in the back end to provide and to monetize the content that they find safe and suitable for brands. One of the ways, and then if advertisers believe, that they shouldn't be investing, they shouldn't be appearing next to every single page. We have to accept that because it is their brand at stake. So what we can do, it doesn't mean if they don't want to appear next to every single news. Maybe, they don't have to block all news, but maybe they can look to appear next to news that is more suitable. And this is where we enter into the suitability thing, which is there are the technologies that exist today. They're far from perfect, but what they do, they are able to, for example, give you the pre-bid segment of positive sentiment of different stories. So advertisers, instead of avoiding everything about COVID, they can try to fund at least those stories that are that have neutral or positive or positive notion. But to answer your question, one is advertising in news in premium news publishers domains. But if really you don't think that is suitable for your brand, there are technologies to be used to allow you to advertise in some of it, not all of it, depending on your risk profile, as we said at the beginning.
Thank you. And where do you see the line between social responsibility and brand safety?
Oh, that's a big one. I always thought that the way advertisers, where they choose to advertise, is also a reflection of what they stand for. Because you can't. It's very difficult for any advertiser to, for example, who is into female empowerment. It's their purpose that they communicate. So it's very difficult for them to justify then appearing on websites that speak against abortion. It is, and that is really the thin line. I would say social responsibility and brand safety are tightly connected. They're not the same. They're tightly connected, and I think we see that these days in the context of the Facebook debate. But what is true in all of this is that the investment decisions that advertisers make do have social responsibility component to it, because if we as an industry invest in domains that spread disinformation or hate speech, or we appear on apps that are engaged in child endangerment, we are basically pouring money into irresponsible practices, which affect not only the app, but affect the industry, the society at large. So again, tightly connected, not the same, but advertisers and the industry have a huge role to play in ensuring that their advertising does not fund certain content that can put that social stability at stake.
So what does the future hold for brand safety? Talked about suitability, fake news, and blockchain. I'm personally particularly interested in blockchain, because I remember conversations from a few years ago when it became, it was the buzzword that everyone was talking about at the time, but it promised so much, and yet we've been unable to achieve any kind of scale with blockchain. Is that part of the near future, or is it still a long way off for brand safety?
I think it is very, very close. GICWebs, as you know, has been working on this, on how we can use this technology to understand better the transparency of buys, because part of the brand safety field and this whole risk is effectively how we, understanding the supply chain, who gets which portion, who is involved in the bid, and etc. And this technology can significantly help. Some first insights into tests that GICWebs has run with a company called Fiducia are actually very, very encouraging. Because they really allow us to see, to track that supply path, who, when, and how. So I do think that is going to be a game changer in the time to come. When it comes to other trends, we have recently issued the Brand Safety Playbook for Marketeers 2020 and beyond. So I invite you really to look it up online and download it, because it's a good 20 pages about the future of brand safety in principle. But a couple of trends, I think one is, as you rightfully said, is not really is moving towards suitability, but without forgetting the basics of brand safety, which means that all of us, or the entire industry, accepting that advertisers sit in between low and high risk, and then accommodating that demand. When it comes to fake news unfortunately will continue to exist. It's very difficult to eradicate. We are 7 billion now on the planet Earth. There are always people who will try to produce. This existed even before. It's not fake news
There's always been fake news.
Exactly. The internet just allowed it to proliferate more. But what is new are deep fakes. I don't know if you know about deep fakes, but basically somebody can take, for example, a recording of my voice, of my videos, and then they can create something that, a video of me saying something that I will have never said. And that's not a problem for me because I'm not a brand. But there are brands, for whom this can be a problem. What if somebody takes a CEO of a big company and that, they make a deep fake saying something that is completely against their corporate responsibility policy, or their share price can go significantly down. So it can be really a big thing. Other things, I think we will see more and more discussions about new channels such as gaming, audio, digital home, connected TV. They're already here, but unfortunately the standardization for measurement is not there yet. And as we all know, the bedrock, and I keep repeating this, the bedrock of brand safety is independent measurement. So if we are unable to measure across the field, as we are now, for example, in open web, more or less, we have a problem because we don't understand where we advertise and how we advertise and how effective it is. So I hope that answers your question.
It does. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. I hope you found it interesting and that you will join us again soon for the next podcast. Thank you, Stevan.
Thank you, Stevan.
Absolutely. No, thank you. And we are, me personally, but I think Group Ham is a big friend of premium publishers, so we're always happy to contribute in the best way we can.